Well, it's good to be in your company this morning and bright, beautiful Thursday morning. It's great to be here. Trust you're enjoying the show so far. This morning we have a big conversation to bring you, and it's a personality who has immersed himself when it comes to the general operation within the football space especially, and general sport as well. Now, he has an extensive, run with national teams and their participation in major international competitions. Over the years, he has contributed greatly within the physiotherapy or the sports physiotherapy operation of major national teams, including the Black Stars, and participation in the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Away from that as well, he's worked with the junior teams as well, and he's worked with the 8 specific teams. He's also contributed to Ghana's participation in the Tokyo Olympic Games, operating at various levels as well. This morning, we're taking a look at the importance of physiotherapy within the bigger framework of professional sport. Every other time, we always have these conversations when emergencies come up and when situations come up with our athletes. But the question is there a proactive side or a preventive side of the operation? And is there another side as well that ensures that athletes remain within a certain space when it comes to their health and their delivery in professional sport? All of those are what we'll be discussing with Professor Jonathan Quartey. He is an associate professor at the School of Biomedical Studies and Allied Health Sciences at the University of Ghana. We'll be having this conversation together. And look, he's got a wealth of experience. He's also, worked greatly in spaces outside of the African continent, specifically in clubs like RB Salzburg and, Borussia Dortmund as well. So all of this wealth of experience in this conversation that is coming up very, very shortly. But of course, we'll have to start off the conversation with a team that he's worked with before. Now, I'm talking about the Black Starlets. Now, the Black Starlets under coach Lai Kingston did something massive yesterday at the University of Ghana Stadium in Legon. They started off their Wafu Zombi under-17 competition on a high, hitting 5 goals past their opponents. Well, we've got the highlights for you, and then after that, we'll go into the conversation with Professor Jonathan Quartey.
The scoring for the Black Starlets in the 27th minute of the game after Mark Agawa-Mensah sent in a delightful dunk over the top into the box with a winger on hand to hit it on the first attempt to put Ghana ahead.
Ayamga, chance for Ghana, and it's a brilliant opening goal.
Nabi continued his scoring form moments later. This time, the number 11 shirted man had a clean strike after a failed clearance from a corner. His low effort beat the Côte d'Ivoire goalkeeper and found its way in the back of the net. Ghana carried a 2-goal lead into the break and looked comfortable from there. Immediately after the recess, Kingston's ball struck again. Godfred Sapon finished a sweet move from the side, which involved a sequence of passing. Nabi had squeezed the pass through for Sapon, who lifted the ball over the on-rushing goalkeeper. Côte d'Ivoire gave themselves a lifeline 2 minutes later to make it 3-1. However, Ghana's 3-goal advantage was restored. Harvey Bafa beat his marker to head in Benjamin Chivinyo's cross from the corner kick. In all of these, Ghana's goalkeeper, Michael Ama, had come up on big occasions to deny the Ivorians. Theophilus Ayamga should have made it 5 for the Black Starlets in the 75th minute of the game, but his weaker foot effort just went wide of the post. Just when Ghana looked to have stepped their foot off the pedal, Mark Agawa-Mensah netted a 5th to put the game beyond the reach of their counterpart. The win sends Ghana top of Group A, and the team will now face Benin in their next game come next week, Tuesday.
All right, so Coach Lai Kingston is the star boy at this moment. Everybody's just talking about him and what he's doing as a coach. And on that note, we welcome Professor Jonathan Quartey, who has worked with the under-17 team before as part of his long run in the space. Prof, good to see you, and congratulations as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure having you for these conversations. Yeah. That's Lai Kingston, and you were just making some comments about his work so far.
Yeah. I'm actually very impressed about the way he's carried himself and the way he's actually developed the team. And these are the kind of things we need in our national teams because it's actually very important. I mean, he seems to have a very good plan. and he's executing it very well. I actually give him accolades. I'm happy about his achievements thus far.
Very well, very well. So let's quickly take a listen to this one. Laie Kingston now has a game to play in the group stage, and then after that, he qualifies to the next stage of the competition, which is very clear-cut and straightforward. Can we quickly take a listen to him?
We've dominated play. Our last tournament in Russia, we lost against Russia. First 15 minutes, we were down 3-0, but we dominated play against, Serbia. We dominated play against Kazakhstan. We dominated play against our friendly game against Niger. We dominated play as well. Today's game, different opponent. Like I said, thumbs up to the Ivorians. They are a very good side. We wanted, and of course, most of my boys, first time playing such competition, home soil, I felt they were a little bit jittery. So with that, we have to manage and then try to take something out and then try and do our best. Sometimes we try to play 1, 2, 3 passes.
Okay, so Coach Laie Kingston there. We'll be talking about his subjects some more as we go along, but you've heard from Professor Jonathan Quartey about his quality and what he feels he can bring to the game. So we'll bring you details on the next game. And remember, the Ghana FA has opened the gates free, so we can go there and support the Black Starlets. The journey is long, and the eventual aim is the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Prof, why did you decide to choose this aspect of operation within sport, sport physiotherapy?
Well, I think as an individual, I love sports, and I did a lot of sports while I was in school. Not the best athlete anyway, but I did so well with football, and I played football throughout my school life. All the others I tried didn't work. Running, high jump, long jump, I mean, they didn't really go very well. But with football, I think I excelled in the area where I was in school. And having found myself in physiotherapy, when it came to time to specialize, I felt going to sport, though not very lucrative in Ghana anyway, I felt that it would be something I can do with a lot of passion. And I think since I went into specialty in 2006, I've done a lot of sports, work with physiotherapy, and I'm very happy about it because I really love sports.
Great stuff. What's the basic explanation we can give to the ordinary person about the work you do?
Well, let me just step back and probably provide some context. Sports physiotherapy is just a branch in physiotherapy, but when you look at
the broader area,
you look at sports in general. We work with a sports medicine team. Okay. So, I mean, the physiotherapist doesn't stand alone. There's actually an umbrella body, which is the sports medicine team. So other health professionals would have also specialized in the area of sports. And physiotherapist is one of the key components within the sports medicine team. So essentially, I mean, we manage injuries when they do occur. But as part of our mandate, we try to put in a lot of injury management, injury prevention management tips for the athletes, knowing that, I mean, the athlete's job is to continue working. And therefore, when he sustains an injury, I mean, then the work actually comes to a halt. So essentially, the physiotherapist takes care of injury prevention. We manage acute injuries, then you do rehabilitation proper for the athlete to come back if the injury takes him off. And then we look at performance to be able to integrate back into the team. So essentially, these are, I think, the key things that we'd want to look at in the area of sports physiotherapy.
All right, now we see that obviously the national teams have the best in terms of technical structure or backroom staff structure. You've also mentioned that it's not exactly a lucrative area to be in or to be a practitioner in Ghana. We'll talk about that in a bit. But generally, how much premium are we placing? If you look at the general picture here, how much premium are we placing on sports physiotherapy and its importance within the bigger framework? You know, obviously because in this side of the world, we're still third world, and so the approach and the funding and the way we organize is all still third world structure.
Well, if I have to give a blunt answer, I think that the premium is next to nothing. If I have to, yeah, it's really next to nothing. For instance, in the Premier League, I think there are just about 3 clubs that have a proper medical structure that includes a physiotherapist. The academies are doing very well. WAFA, sorry if I have to mention their names, Right to Dream, because these are physiotherapists who pass through our hands and are working in these facilities. That's what I know. But otherwise, generally speaking, physiotherapy in sports in Ghana is not anything to write home about.
And so we all get, well, from time to time we hear of these injuries that players get, and then it becomes a problem for them and all of that. You've spoken about preventive physiotherapy. What are some of the things that are done for athletes and sportsmen to keep them in space and just keep them, within balance so that they don't fall off track and get themselves in trouble with injuries?
Well, I think basically it's about education.
Okay.
Talk to them. And of course, you must have a good understanding of each of these sports that the athletes perform in. So if it's football, you must have a good understanding of how football operates. If it's hockey, if it's track and field, and then you provide good education. There are do's and don'ts. You have to wear proper kits, proper preventive stuff. Not to deviate, but I still remember in 2017 when we were preparing to go for a tournament, just normal shin guards. And it was missing during training. And the injury that occurred, and it was a penultimate for traveling. The injury that occurred was something that ruled out the player completely from the tournament. So equipment, for instance, is some of the things we have to look at. Then we tell them about techniques. Aside what the coaches tell them, we tell them about techniques. Your running, your balance. Basic things that you have to understand as far as your sport is concerned to try and prevent the injury, because your work is the sport you actually participate in, especially if it's elite. And therefore, it becomes very important to try and make sure that you provide the necessary tips that are essential to get them out of the way of injury.
We normally, when we're looking at the backroom staff structure of most of our clubs, in the Ghana Premier League, for instance, the closest you'd get to you would be a masseur, the team's masseur, somebody who's learned basic, stuff when it comes to managing immediate situations and all of that. People who do like basic first aid and all of that. What risk are our clubs running by not having a sports physiotherapist attached to the medical team, for instance?
Well, the risk is actually very high. That cannot, be underscored. It is very, very high. And, again, there are quite a number of examples that, if given the opportunity, I would want to mention. But basically, the risk is very high. And some of the things I have seen in the years that I've practiced as a sports physio is nothing to write home about. Some are career-threatening, and some do end their careers. Let me say, without any apology, that some of the people who call themselves masseurs, are nothing to write home about. They know next to nothing. I'm very sorry to say that. And I therefore would want to applaud the Ghana Football Association. My department has worked with them over the years to give those people who refer to themselves as masseurs some basic knowledge. To be able to handle certain basic things. And we've told them that it's prudent to refer and not to try to be a champion, because these people you are looking at are actually in their prime, and it's a career they are following. If you're not careful, you end their career prematurely. So the GFA is doing very well. I think we've had like 4 or 5 cohorts of these guys within the football space who have actually undergone this training, at least just to have that basic knowledge, to attempt not to jeopardize the future of these footballers, that we have in country.
It's a very important point you've raised. You've trained 5 so far. We've got 18 clubs in the Ghana Premier League. In the
5 cohorts.
5 cohorts. Okay,
yes,
so
yeah.
Various
with some
groups.
numbers.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's
yes,
fine.
Please.
That's
okay.
fine.
Yes. But it's still inadequate.
It's still inadequate,
yes.
And that's what I want to tackle, because obviously you want to have a total picture or a full, circle when it comes to how much impact your training has made. What about the rest, or the remaining numbers who still haven't come on board? Are you having conversations with the Ghana FA to make it, to add to regulation, maybe when they go to Congress, to,
Again, I like to speak positively for the GFA because I've had very good interactions with Prosper Harrison-Ado. He's looking at getting a certain number of cohorts, and then it's going to become mandatory, for all clubs to have at least this basic level of mazes within the football clubs. But the bigger picture is they want to see how they can work with the university to see if they can get physios on, most of the clubs. But let us not forget that it comes to funding. And when these people are employed, they must be adequately compensated. And I'm sure that's what the clubs will be running away from because, you have to compensate. But if you have money to run a football club, you must have money to do a full circle of what it involves. Health is part of it. You can't run away from it. And therefore, you have to be able to invest in that area as well.
In your journey, what would you say in terms of measurements and percentages regarding the preventable, scenarios that you've seen, over the course of time? Let's just say maybe over the last 10 years or 15 years that you've been working with the national teams and some clubs and the FA. The very preventable situations, where would you put it in terms of the levels of occurrence, that people do not apply the proper requisite technical knowledge because of which players then get themselves into these career-threatening situations?
Well, I think that even without looking at the real things, our pitches are nothing to write home about. So, that is where it starts. And sometimes we are also convinced that it is good to have artificial pitches. Artificial pitches are so hard that they predispose the footballers to injuries. But our pitches are, the first point of call that I'd want to talk about. So when you even give them all the education and you do all the necessary injury prevention and you are using some of these pitches, I think it's actually a challenge. So in terms of answering your question, I think the first point is even our pitches, are the places where we need to address properly to even start preventing right from the get-go.
Wow, interesting stuff there. Let's talk about your experiences with, working with the national teams. Currently, you've been appointed to take care of the Black Galaxies, which is the home-based Black Stars team.
Sure.
Now, tell me about the experiences. You've worked with various levels of national teams. Tell me about the experiences and the kind of impact that your work has made over the years in our respective campaigns at tournaments and all of that.
Well, I must say that fortunately, I've also worked with a good group of other health professionals, which is the physician who on board, the national teams. And therefore, we've been able to coordinate very well and we've had very good outcomes in terms of injury management, not prevention. So those injuries that have occurred in the national teams where we have worked, we've had very good results in, the basic injuries that usually a footballer will get. They get injuries every time anyway, and we want to get good results. And most of the coaches have actually been satisfied with the outcomes that they get from the treatment we offered. But of course, if it's a major injury that takes the player out, that is, not what we are talking about. But for all those knocks and basic things that look threatening, that, okay, the player may not be able to play the next match and stuff like that. On hindsight, I think that we've done a good job so far. As a medical team, with the input from the physiotherapy aspect as well. So I think that so far, so good.
Okay. Now, you are going to be working, on the next campaign or two that the Black Galaxies will be taking, part in. If you were told to give basic advice or everyday advice to our athletes and our sportsmen regarding how strategically they should handle themselves, what would it be?
Well, I think that our football has gotten to a place where we should always stop thinking of going to work only on the field. I remember when I worked with the under-17s, and some of them do remember, and a classical example is Baba Rahman. I gather them, we sit, we talk, and we do a lot of education, before we go onto the pitch. They understand what we do, they know what to expect from their coaches, and then they know what to do if things are not right on the field. And if something occurs, they know that this is what we have to do. Essentially, it's just about education. And I think that plays an important role. I don't think we've had such good opportunities, especially because the other teams, they are already matured. But I think that just as the coach will sit and have a chat with them, they do all this video stuff, it's also good that the medical team also has time to spend with the team. They are seated, not on the field of play, not to allow something to happen and expect that, okay, we need to come and address it. But we have one-on-one discussions. So when those things happen, it's just like the coach talking to you. We've had a lot of discussions. I think that, for me, it becomes significant if you can do it that way. And not to put others aside, but I just want to applaud somebody like Coach Otoado. He has a lot of respect for the medical team, and every day that we are in camp, he has to listen to the medical team before he plans his training activity. And I found it very useful, and I would want to say that it appears that it's a good way to go. I don't know how many coaches are doing that, but he uses it to do a lot of planning. So he's not afraid if he doesn't have a player, because he has sat with the medical team. He knows that, okay, this is not good. He makes a plan B almost immediately. But, I mean, some of the coaches, they want, oh, yeah, doc, is this one okay? I think that those things play a significant role in building a team. So I think I just needed to chip that in. And it could be an advice for, football in general and other coaches, how to work with the medical team. It really helps.
Final question before we wrap up this conversation, Prof. There's somebody out there who is thinking about going into, an allied sports profession. What is it about your area and your profession which would make you want to advise them to come into this area? Finally.
Well, physiotherapy is a healthcare profession, and I have described it as an exciting healthcare profession, because what we do generally is to get people to move. So sports is a subspecialty, but generally physiotherapists get people to move, because you come with accidents, trauma, physical disorders. So in wanting to go into sports, I think that it's something that people should actually think and say that, okay, I want to be a physiotherapist because I heard that it is an exciting healthcare profession.
Prof, thank you so much. It's been wonderful sharing your company this morning. And congratulations on that big step of becoming an associate professor.
Thank you so much.
We're looking forward to the next steps as well.
They are in the hands of God.
Of course.
Yes.
Professor Jonathan Quartey is currently in charge of the physiotherapy operation of the Black Galaxies team, and he works with Coach Masudi Dramani there. Well, so hope you've enjoyed the conversation, and of course we'll be placing this on our YouTube page so you can catch a lot more of it and some key points that he made here on the show on the essence of this whole operation within the bigger space of professional sport. Prof, we're very grateful to you, and we'll be glad to have you anytime again to discuss more.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you so much.